Slacker, I could totally see myself being like, yeah, I'm just going to make an animated GIF of myself. And
that's exactly the kind of shit I want to talk about on this episode, actually, too. It's like imagining what kind of fucking shit kids must be getting up to online.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't 100% confirm it, but I do know that even when I've taught online, that some of the students I have, I was going to say boys, but I should avoid saying that because it's not just boys. Some of the students I have are definitely just like in another browser tab or another window playing a game.
Oh yeah,
I can just tell by how they're acting.
Yeah, there was this girl the other day who was like, she was leaned totally forward, like almost past the webcam, like staring at something and like having a huge smile on her face, like she's watching a cartoon, you know? And I'm like, Ariana, what's so funny? What are you looking at? She's like, nothing. I'm like, it looks like you're watching something. That's not the class. And she's like, no. And she like moved the camera a little bit side to side as if that proved there was no TV or something. I don't know. It was fucking, she wouldn't stop doing it. And I just gave up. I was like, whatever.
I totally I mean, I get it. Like if I was,
yeah, but I would just be better at hiding it. She was so obvious. I mean, whatever. These kids are like 8, 9 years old.
Yeah, I mean, that too. I think that I would be better at hiding it, but when I was 8 or 9, it's really hard to remember.
It's even, like, I mean, it's hard to imagine living in this world at that age. I don't know.
It really is. But, you know, I don't know. There was some point in elementary school where I really started to hate it, probably around 4th or 5th grade, which I always get confused at what age that is.
It's like 11.
Where I might have just
9, 10.
I might have been happy to just not have any. Oh shit! My computer's like going crazy. I would have been happy to not. Jason. To not go to school, to just do it on a computer, on a screen.
Fuck
I'd have been like, this is fucking amazing.
Completely. I bet kids are loving coronavirus.
I had students, like 2 boys that I like, but they're always, this is the odd case of students I like. Occasionally I'll have boys who just kind of remind me of myself at that age.
Sure.
And they're not necessarily like ideal students or anything. But I'm like, okay, you guys seem like you're going to grow up to be cool. But I heard them talking to each other. They're pretty good about talking in English about how happy they are that they're probably going back to Zoom class. I'm like, I get it.
You know, this might be the perfect example of the difference between these kind of, I don't know, the goody two-shoes rich kids that I teach. They actually hate Zoom class. They're like, teacher, we want to come back. They're like always whining about it. Not all of them, but nobody's ever said like, yes, Zoom class rules. Like if anything, they complain. They're like, when I tell them like, yeah, we're going to be on Zoom class next week. And the funniest part is me having to pretend that I'm also sad along with them. I'm like, yeah, we got another week of online. They're like, oh, teacher, I hate online. I think it's mainly they just want, like, in a way, I kind of feel bad for them because, you know, they want to be physically around, like, their friends. But it's like,
yeah, and I've heard that could actually be, like, from, like, things I've read, maybe this is a right-wing talking point, or it's one of the talking points for going back to school, that maybe it's just, like, bad for, kids not to have that type of social interaction.
It is in like normal times, but these are not normal times. So
yeah,
like,
it's not normal times.
You know, I hate, you know, that like the cliche, like the way liberals talk to leftists about like being the adults in the room. But that's how I am that's how I feel about coronavirus, is like, yeah, of course kids want to hang out with their friends, but you got to fucking be a grown up and realize there's a goddamn virus on the loose. and tell them I'm sorry. You can hang out with your friends online. It's not that bad. Like I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like it's literally it's life or death thing. Like it's not.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I mean, I know you agree with me. I'm getting worked up thinking about these fucking articles we're going to talk about where people are like, school is more important than staying alive. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Are you sure? I know you're sure, but are they sure? Is it really more important than staying alive?
Yeah, speaking of that, I want to take a look at some of these articles before we really get going. I hit record like 6 minutes ago, by the way.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I looked at some of them last night, but I was a little brain dead last night.
No, I was just compiling stuff mostly. I don't think I read a full one. I ended up getting lost in that other topic. I was reading
infighting.
I was reading all about the history of the basically of like Trotskyism, like sort of splits within the left. That Socialist Equality Party really hates Jacobin and the DSA. And I'm trying to be, and I am just like reflexively, I like Jacobin because I do. I like their articles. I think they have good stuff.
I like Jacobin and the DSA. I don't know. I think that,
but they have compelling arguments as to why they are they're really harsh. They call them like a pseudo left.
Yeah, this isn't like new, but sorry, this isn't my like original opinion or anything. But I actually think one of the biggest problems in the left is the infighting.
Well, yeah. I agree, and that's why I was just finding the whole topic so interesting because I've gone on about like I mean not just me, but I've said on the podcast whatever like there has to be some like mass numbers of people like united behind these left ideas, and that's what DSA is trying to do that in a way because so there's like it gets so fucking convoluted when you like dig into this stuff. There's like all these organizations with different fucking acronyms like the ISO and all, like, and that's like gone now. Then there's this thing now. I think the new thing is just
what
called
was the ISO?
International Socialist Organization, and DSA fell under that along with some other ones. But the SEP, the one that I read from their website a lot. So the SEP is the name of the political party, but the World Socialist website, that's just basically their website, official website. But then they're also part of this broader thing that started like, I don't know, back in the 60s. It was like a workers' movement. But they're really like, I guess they're really hardcore in their beliefs about like basically what it all comes down to is they think anything other than like an internationalist movement is a failure of like the communist like ideal can't be reached if it's within confines of nationalism. Also, they see like how the DSA and Jacobin kind of like, as much as they criticize the Democratic Party, they do kind of enable it, and they oppose third party stuff a lot of the time. I think that's a valid criticism.
I do too.
So I don't know. I think we could do like a whole episode on that maybe next week.
Yeah, I think that would be a good episode actually.
And then like
I think it's a common topic anyways of just.
Well, that was the thing is I really wanted to see. There's if you start Googling like Socialist Equality Party or like Trotskyite Party, whatever, and then like Jacobin or DSA, you only see the Trotskyites criticizing Jacobin. I can't find Jacobin like.
I think Jacobin.
I can't find anything where the DSA is like fuck these like overzealous guys and the SEP. Like it's all in one direction. Like I guess they also got rejected from a conference that DSA was like running in part with some other people, and without any explanation. They just said like, we don't want you to come to our conference, something like that.
Oh,
but who knows? I mean, also the SCP like really, really viciously criticizes them. So maybe they're like, yeah, we don't want people that hate us to come to our thing.
Yeah, that I kind of get that. I can't imagine inviting.
But also, the topics they proposed were pretty good topics that fit right along with the conference. So it was kind of
okay.
I don't know.
I was going to say, I haven't seen a lot from Jacobin. Like the stuff I've seen from Jacobin is usually more of, I feel like I've seen articles where they're kind of asking for the left to actually unite on certain things and like drop like the pointless infighting. Because I know some people, or I feel like some people in the left get really hung up on like, I want to say non-class issues.
Yeah.
Like more social justice issues.
Yeah.
I hate calling them social, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. And like ID politics and representation.
Where I think the big thing people really should worry about is the worker issues, and solving those issues I actually think would make other issues just better.
Right. That's like a huge point of infighting, though, is like, you're a class reductionist, you know, that's what that's what the other sort of side will say, is like, you're not taking things like race and gender into account enough. But I don't know. That's sort of the problem with like people that are more sort of God, what's a word that's not embarrassing to say? I mean, fancy themselves sort of independent-minded free thinkers and whatnot.
Yeah.
Is that you just get a million people arguing about their faction. Where, yeah, I mean, this is not a new insight, of course, but like, yeah, the right seems much more easily like herded together, I guess. I don't know. But I would consider Democrats on the right as well, and they're easily herded together in a way.
That's true.
It's just the actual left is like kind of lost. Doesn't know how to assemble itself, it seems like. When like, yeah, because it's like when an organization, when a socialist organization says that Jacobin is like a pseudo, or you know, the DSA Jacobin are kind of like interchangeable. I mean, one is a party, the other is a publication, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
When that wing is considered like not even just not effective, but actually actively destructive to achieving like true socialist state. I don't know. It's kind of like, God damn, where do you turn?
Had to do something. It is harder to focus maybe when I'm at home. It's past time for schools to open. Where are we starting with this? What should we say? Should we say school children need to go back to school? Children need to go out and catch the virus. They need to die for the adults. Sacrificing children for sanity?
I guess what I want to
is
do,
that.
I mean, I guess the you know, this the WSWS site has tons of like counter type articles as to why places shouldn't be open. So I want to have like maybe read at least from two types of things, but I guess like the pro go back to school ones. I guess I want to try to emphasize that like it's like just about money.
I think it's about money. I think some of it is about parents' sanity, and I think some of that comes down to like this weird like class divide. I mean, obviously it's about money for people who have to work like 2 jobs, maybe single moms, single dads, single parents. That's what I'm looking for. Who don't have someone to watch their grade school kid
Yeah.
at home, and also happen to work in the service industry where they're not allowed to take off work, and they're just kind of like in this giant bind where they're like, how am I going to pay rent? How am I going to make sure Bobby actually logs on the computer and does his class? Then you got rich people who are like, I could afford a babysitter, but God, it's such a pain in the ass that I can't just send my kid to school.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, and I'm sure parents are like, I'm sure a lot of parents are really like broken up about it, because it's like, what a fucking bind to be in. Like, you're exposing your kids to the virus, which exposes then you, and you know, whatever, and it's just chain reaction. But yeah, like you said, people gotta fucking work, and I mean, then that's just the other problem that's tied right into it, is that governments are not responding to this thing the right way. They just think they can like throw bodies at it until it's over. It's fucking gross. It's fucked up.
I think that's what they're going to keep doing at this point.
Yeah.
I think actually the news of the vaccine has made people think, well, it's okay if we catch it and stuff because there's going to be a vaccine soon.
Yeah, it's people who don't know what a fucking vaccine is.
Not a cure.
Also, people who keep forgetting that even if you survive this thing, it like increases your chances of cancer and all kinds of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not just the fucking flu. People still think it's just a flu, basically.
People think it's like a light version of the flu. I think there's still probably people on the internet arguing that the flu kills more people per year.
Oh my God. When, yeah, like the kind of shocking thing to me too is that people that you think would know better, like otherwise like rational people, have like are tricking themselves into these ways of thinking. Like, I don't know. Even some people that I like really respect as thinkers, I've heard say things like, well, it's only like the really vulnerable, you know, old people that really have to worry about it, you know? It's like, no, it's just not true. Especially like when the numbers grow and grow and grow, like the age ranges of people that are going to be dying more frequently, like I mean, those are going to increase as well. I don't know. Fuck shit.
It's kind of insane.
But I guess as far as there's like, I mean, there's this article this I was thinking to go over this one article because it sort of could be a teaser for the left infighting thing we want to do soon. It's the as teachers fight deadly return to school, the DSA runs to the defense of the unions and Democrats. There are all these groups with names that you'd think would sound, that would be like good good unions that really, like, you know, protect the workers that fall under within them. But yeah, like the United Federation of Teachers, they're just like pushing hard for everything to reopen. So is the National Education Association. So is the American Federation of Teachers. I don't know what's different from National Federation of Teachers and American, but
I feel a bit dumb today. I'm like more loopy than normal.
it seemed fine.
It's just me. Maybe it's just my head. It's all in my head. Had one of those sad teaching days yesterday. This is a bit off topic, but since we're still teaching in person, we had DTs this week. My school's going back to Zoom after DTs, which I think is silly, because most of the other JLS branches did their DTs on Zoom, but my school's like, oh, it's such a pain to do the DTs on Zoom because they're worried about these fucking hogwan students cheating on their DT test over Zoom. And I'm like, what does it even fucking matter?
Like third
honestly,
grade.
I don't understand why they even worry about cheating.
They're like third graders.
Yeah, I don't worry. Well, I have this take that probably most other teachers don't have, to where I actually don't even think cheating's necessarily bad. Which is like a whole like a thing that I'd actually really have to write my thoughts down, but I've thought about it a bit and I'm like, I don't care. People are going to cheat, and I don't think it necessarily causes near as many problems as a lot of like upright sort of people think it does, but maybe that's just me being a bit nuts. But yeah, so we're basically just having in-person classes this week because they didn't want to they wanted to be able to monitor and make sure the kids weren't cheating on the big test.
I mean, whatever you think about cheating, I think getting coronavirus is worse.
Yep, me too.
Yeah. I guess for the listeners, Jason was not talking about the kids having delirium tremens. DTs are diagnostic tests. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, DTs are diagnostic tests to make
Just
sure
whenever
they
I
go
hear
up to the next level.
Whenever I hear DT, I think of like getting the shakes until you
Oh gosh, I
hallucinate.
guess I've just gotten too used to like saying DT. I didn't even think about the fact that it could have a different meaning.
It just crossed my mind because you said it a few times.
New York City teachers push for fast return to in-person classes. Are these the same teachers who didn't want to go back?
Well, the actual teachers don't want to go back. I mean, there are strikes and protests, and but the union is another story, because I mean that's I mean there's a larger issue, I think, with all of these go back to school things, is that the union leadership is pretty disconnected from the actual members. And I mean, in theory, there's like a democratic process to like elect these people to their positions, but there's a lot of I think there's a lot of corruption within unions these days. Like the like knee-jerk leftist within me wants to just see the word union and go, yeah. But like, I've, realized that I think I've said it on the podcast before. Like, I think a lot of like the biggest unions in America really are just totally like puppeted by the Democratic Party. And I think a lot of these teaching unions are as well.
I've always heard that one of the best unions in America is the teaching union.
Well, it appears to be that there are a bunch of them. So I don't know which one might be good or bad, but I feel like anybody pushing for school reopenings in the United States or Europe right now is insane. I don't know how you can think that's going to be okay.
Just why wouldn't it be?
Although, and that's making me wonder, though. Like, I mean, we've talked about this, but like, I don't know why things are. I mean, I do kind of know why things are so different here in Korea. It's partly because things were brought under control quickly. And whenever there is a flare up, things are brought back under control pretty quickly. I mean, my gripe with South Korea at this point is that it's not like Taiwan. Like we could be down to basically 0 infections if we just really locked everything down for like a month or two and just paid.
That's my gripe everywhere, to be honest with you. Is that?
Well, yeah. But I mean, it would be much more feasible, I feel like, here than in the entire United States, for example. But yeah, of course, like ideally everywhere would have done that.
Right.
Would have done that 8 months ago.
Just imagine, like, so I always go back to, I know I've mentioned this before to you. I don't know if I've mentioned it on the podcast, but like, when the pandemic was first starting, for some reason, I was listening to the New York Times, the Daily podcast, which is like their podcast where they just go over like some like current event kind of in depth. Which is, I mean, New York Times is kind of, liberal media in not always the good way.
Yeah.
But they cover interesting topics and have interesting people on sometimes. They had a pandemic expert on like right when this was starting, before it was even declared a pandemic. And like, I know he's not the only one, but this was like March, maybe even earlier, but I think it was March. And he was like, all we really need to do, and he also said it's not going to happen, so we're probably going to have a pandemic.
Yeah.
They just need to shut everything down for 2 weeks and keep everyone at home for 2 weeks, and this will probably not spread at all. Right at the beginning, I'm sure that there were advisors and other people who suggested just that.
Well, that's what the evil Chinese Communist Party did in Wuhan. They like locked people in their fucking apartments and said, "Hang on a minute," and now there's like no infections there, as far as I know. I could be wrong about that, but I mean, like virtually no infections, and like as much as like China was the global like epicenter of it, like they pretty quickly got it under control, and it's just been like America has just been getting like pummeled worse and worse by it as time goes by. I mean, it's literally as bad as it's ever been right now in the U.S.
Yeah, no, this is like the most insane. It's insane, actually. It's insane how bad it is in the U.S. too. Just like,
and how people are still fucking
just nonchalant. They don't care.
People are focused. Like, people are like, Joe Biden's gonna save us and shit. That's like what my mom was saying yesterday. My mom's like a evangelical conservative, but she's like, I don't know. It's just I feel like I'm seeing people really check out of reality in a way that I haven't quite seen in a while. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like, I don't know. Like when I told you what happened yesterday. Like talking to my own family about this stuff. Like, they just seem like they're on another planet about it, despite like my dad fucking getting this goddamn thing.
I can't believe your dad got it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, did you say he's not really taking it seriously at all?
Well, I didn't talk to him, but my mom just seemed sort of like in denial in a way. Like she wouldn't, I mean, she's getting tested at least. And I asked maybe 3 or 4 times about like my brother and sister and like, their spouses and like my nephew, like all people that my dad's probably been in contact with in the last month that he has been.
Yeah.
And she basically said like, oh, they don't need it because they haven't seen him for 3 weeks. And I felt like I was talking to a child. I'm like, he could have had it for like 2 months.
You don't know.
It's possible to not have symptoms for a long time, if ever.
Is he having symptoms now? Is that why he got tested?
Yeah, he has mild. I mean, it's mild at least, but like,
okay.
I was like, is he in the hospital? She's like, oh, no, it's not that. He's just got like a backache and slight cough. And I'm just thinking like, I mean, I'm like a worrier and like cynical, so I immediately start to think of the worst possibilities as well. But I did look up the list of comorbidities just to double check, and I guess my dad does tick off one of them, but I don't know. But then, like, so that conversation went on, and then my mom said, so they were like, they're in like Florida. That's the other thing is like they traveled.
Yeah, traveling
They traveled
right now is
from
like
Illinois.
super irresponsible.
They traveled from Illinois to Florida because apparently they decided now is a good time to buy real estate. They bought a condo.
Did they drive or did they?
I assume they probably flew.
Okay.
And but then my mom said, "Oh, and your grandfather, like my grandfather, my dad's side, he just beat cancer into remission, like very recently." And she said, "He's planning to come down here next week." And I like a jaw hit the floor. I was like
your grandfather? Are they?
He has every comorbidity.
Are they thinking about that at all? I mean,
she said
surely they're going to cancel that because I mean,
well, it's not really up. I mean, he's kind of his own man in a way. Like he's not like a totally enfeebled guy who relies on everybody at this point.
Yeah, sure.
But like, and he like has his own property in Florida, so his idea is like he doesn't want to be in the cold in Wisconsin. So
that makes sense.
But it's like you shouldn't even be leaving your house right now. Jesus Christ. Let alone getting on an airplane, going to a state that has like the most infections in the country. I don't know if that's true, but they're like Florida is definitely up there. This is the whole thing. I'm like, is everybody I told you yesterday, I was feeling like someone was like gaslighting me.
Yeah, no.
Like, am I the crazy one? What's happening here?
Well, I mean, Joe Biden's president now.
Yeah, everything.
Well, he's not president now, but he will be president soon, which means everything's fixed, Joshua.
That was the other thing. Yeah, my mom said was like, well, this isn't going to be fixed until Trump leaves office. As if like some magical thing is going to happen on January. What is it?
There's a switch.
20th? Whatever it is.
You don't know about the switch?
Oh, they have a literal like switch?
Yeah, there's a switch. It's big and red. You just pull it.
Flip the switch. Okay.
And so right now, Trump has it set to chaos. Biden will come in and flip the switch back to lawful.
What would Biden?
Orderly. He'll switch it back to orderly.
Orderly and forgetful.
Orderly and forgetful. Because he'll think, oh, I probably should be an orderly right now.
I don't think he thinks anything about anything, honestly. He just seems like an empty vessel. That's what when I think of Joe Biden. Like that's
what I think about most career politicians.
Oh man, did you see this? This is off topic, but whatever. I saw some shit going around yesterday about Kamala Harris' husband, how he's going to be. So now, like these people who just like worship these politicians like as their mom and dad figures. Oh, that was another disgusting tweet. It was like literally like you see this shit and you think it's ironic, and then when you realize it's sincere, it just like hurts. But you
don't think of Elizabeth Warren as your mom?
Someone posted a picture of like Biden and Kamala Harris like kind of like arm around each other, like waving goodbye. Like it looked like it almost looked like they were like waving goodbye to you, like a POV shot as you're like leaving them from like visiting them on Thanksgiving. That was the sort of the vibe I got from it, at least. And then like the caption, whatever, the tweet of it on it said like, oh, bye mom and dad, it was so great. Like these people like cosplaying like mom and dad with Kamala and Joe. It's fucking man.
Everyone needs family, man.
But now these people are like just like falling over themselves with like just like with hearts in their eyes about we're gonna have the first, and I didn't even think about what they would call this person, but so the term they're using is first gentleman or vice first gentleman. I don't know what is it. I can't remember. What is the first lady of the vice president? Do they say vice first lady? I can't even remember. Do you know? I don't know. Whatever. But they're just like they're like, this man is so great. He's stepping down from his really lucrative, powerful position at a law firm just to stand by his woman. And they're seeing this as this like great act of feminism, like male feminism or whatever. And like people kind of
I'm sure he's going to make so much money.
People were countering that, like, no, he's like going to join the administration, just like Trump's family was doing. Like, that's the plan. They've said it. And then people are like, no, it's not true. He's just going to hang around the White House. Like, what do you think is happening here? Jesus Christ. There's so much shit already making me sick to my stomach, and they haven't even switched over yet. But whatever. I feel more unencumbered to like criticize the hell out of them now because, hey, you got it. They won. Now, and that's the greatest fucking hypocrisy that we saw on like day one of like when it was official, you know, the election was done. Is like people who were saying just get them into the White House and then we can start the revolution again, you know? Okay. People are just trying to make like valid criticisms, and we're already now it's at least wait till the inauguration, and then what's going to happen after that? Wait till 2022 is over. Oh, but shit! Then we've got the presidential elections coming up again. So it's going to be a never-ending cycle of this shit, unless people just say shut the fuck up, sit down, and listen. Like, I mean, I don't even know what that means in practicality, but like, you know what I mean.
Just wait until we win the Senate. Oh shit, we didn't win the Senate. Just wait until we.
Just wait until Kamala Harris's yet to be born child is president. Then we can start the revolution.
Or we just wait for Obama's daughter to be president.
Yeah, she seems too cool for that. I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't know anything about them. Yeah, they probably will be like a legacy. I don't know. Who knows?
Politicians. The one that went to Harvard.
I could see them rejecting all of that shit, though. Maybe
I think the one that went to Michigan for university, she's just going to go off and run a weed shop. The one that went to Harvard will go to politics.
I mean, one thing for sure is they're going to want for nothing their whole lives, whatever they do. They're going to be very rich no matter what. Yeah, but I wonder if they reject their dad as a big phony at this point.
I think the younger one does.
Well, they're like in college now, right?
Yeah.
So they're probably like reading a bunch of theory and shit, and they're like, oh, my dad was a total fucking stooge for capitalism. Anyway, who the fuck knows? Save that for Sunday's episode.
I imagine he's a loving, supporting father.
Yeah, I'm sure he's a great guy.
He probably takes them wakeboarding and shit.
Oh, man, I just imagine some dark shit. Richard Branson's like, maybe you shouldn't bring your daughters along on this private airplane ride. Like, but
Richard Branson part of the airplane crew?
I'm saying Branson is probably into some weird pedo island shit. He seems like the type. I just
think all of them are into that, though.
Yeah, because they probably are. Once you reach a certain point of wealth, I feel like you just have to have sex with children. It's just part of the deal.
The rite of passage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's literally what
you haven't truly become.
That's what a lot of the theories are. Is that it's a way of keeping people in line. It's like holding, something over their head. That was the whole Epstein phenomenon, was keeping tons and tons of DVDs that apparently the FBI just lost or said disappeared. But that's a whole other show. We're talking about...
I didn't know that happened.
It did.
I didn't know about the DVDs.
Yeah, there were DVDs like marked with literally like fill in famous powerful person's name with
whoa, is that
young
Jesus.
Whatever girl's name? Like literally it was like written on. I mean, I forget what the source on this was, but I trust TrueAnon and the other places that I've heard it. In any case, we've strayed a little bit from our main topic today.
So instead of sending kids back to school, put them on a healthy diet of podcast. I'm going to promote podcast learning for children in the future.
Yeah, it's interactive.
only have them listen to Chapo and He Deaf the Universe. Well, why didn't I say us first? And see what generation of kids we get.
It's just going to be more podcasters.
a whole generation of podcasters. Now, I imagine this next generation, they'll all grow up to be YouTubers.
Yeah, that seems to be the direction of the youth.
Or they'll be
and Twitch
ceremonies on gaming, on massive online world gaming type deals.
Twitch stars of the future.
That's my dream.
It's never too late.
Sometimes, like, being an ESL teacher, children will be like, you'll have like that top. It's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you always have the boys like, I want to be a pro gamer. And then I'll be like, teacher, what's your dream? And I'll be like, I want to be a pro gamer. They're like, wait, being a teacher's not your dream? It's like, well, sometimes you grow up and you don't actually get to be the dream. And it seems to confuse children that you would be doing a job that's not your dream.
I've had that kind of awkward conversation as well, not that long ago.
And maybe it's bad of me telling kids that being a teacher is not my dream. I mean, I like being.
I think you're maybe not censoring yourself enough. When I answered the question, I was like, well, and I kind of like laughing to myself. I was like, well, I like teaching, sure. And I just kind of evaded the question.
Oh no, I'm just like upfront about it. I'm like, no, this is,
like,
if I could do a dream job,
think I would choose to be here with you.
Yeah, I like you guys, but no.
So, education in the age of coronavirus, it's pretty different. And I was just starting to think, I mean, obviously I've thought about it. I mean, we're in it. Our jobs are, to be clear to anyone listening, like, we've been teaching English in Korea. I mean, to say I teach English is actually not exactly accurate, but anyway, I teach subjects in English to non-native English speakers. I'll put it that way. I don't know why I feel like the need to put all the caveats in there, but anyway, we're teachers, so yes, we have like first-hand experience of teaching during this virus, and it's been very weird. And but I started thinking about it more broadly, like about like what it would be like to teach, like, I don't know, like middle schoolers or high schoolers. And then I was like, or even, I guess, elementary school kids in the US right now, like remotely, even though so many school districts, it seems, are just throwing teachers right back into school. And not just in America, to be fair. This is happening all over Europe as well. And there's protests, but I don't know how effective they really are at this point. Because even the unions and these various like teachers associations and federations and whatnot, there's so many acronyms to talk about. Most of them are not on the teachers or students, for that matter, side.
Well, I mean, I've even like, it's also teachers. Like, I feel like teachers are really split on it, because I know a lot of teachers who hate teaching online.
Yes, but
and would rather just take the risk of death than have to put up with it.
But you know what I say to those people is, fuck you forever. You're an idiot because you're not just risking your own life. God damn it. Why don't people realize this shit? Why is everyone I feel like I'm going crazy. Like everyone in the world except me and you seems to not understand how fucking viruses work.
It's for the children, man.
It's hurting my fucking brain. Like people are like, well, I don't have the sniffles, so everything's all good. Or I can get it. I'm young and healthy. Just
if I do get it, I'll recover.
No, nobody fully recovers. Basically, nobody comes out unscathed in some way. Whether
except
it's
for Donald Trump,
whether it's some tissue damage in your lungs, but there's a whole list of other things that you're like very likely to get, even when you survive, including like one of the things top of the list is like increased risk of cancer. But yeah, okay, you're right. It's not like there are teachers who are like back to school, and they probably, some of them are probably writing some of these articles that we're gonna maybe take a glance at, like, but they're just not using their fucking brains. Like, I don't. Even here in Korea, where like the infection rate is way fucking lower, like the schools have been kind of like opening and closing, and like half opening, and to me, I mean, that's not ideal either, but at least they're responding to the conditions like as they get worse or better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And that's the reason there hasn't been like a second wave. There's been what I would call like
upticks.
Small spikes, upticks, and like, but there's this third wave going through America right now is a fucking tsunami. It's huge, and it's not.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's just getting worse.
If it got anywhere near what it is in America here, Korea, I guarantee, would have shut everything down.
Oh, total lockdown.
Like, I mean, you would get arrested for going outside, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe something like, but I mean, I think they wouldn't even have to do that, because like in the same way that they don't have to force people to wear masks here, like people would
just understand that, wow, this is a dire situation.
Yeah. Really is. So it was kind of disheartening to see this article that showed that the Democratic Socialists of America are supporting some of these teachers' unions push for reopening. This is I'm gonna read a couple little bits from this article, but this is a teaser for like a future episode I want to do about some of the infighting on the left, particularly between the Socialist Equality Party, the Trotskyites, and kind of everybody else, every other socialist group they don't seem to like. And I'm not a member of any group. I read lots of different publications, but I find the whole infighting thing a little fascinating. But anyway, they're the ones who wrote this article, the World Socialist website, which calls out the DSA for not really having the backs of teachers, I guess. So if I go down a few paragraphs, it says a number of teachers who have begun to take up this fight, meaning the fight against going back to school in person, have asked about the role of the Democratic Socialists of America, whose supporters have leading positions in various union factions, including the Movement of Rank-and-File Educators, MORE, Caucus of Rank-and-File Educators, CORE, and union power in New York City, Chicago, and Los Angeles, respectively. What is common to all of these factions is their claim that the unions can be transformed into fighting instruments for teachers if only the rank and file apply enough pressure to the union bureaucracy. By pressuring the unions, the DSA claims the unions will, in turn, pressure the Democrats to change their stripes and abandon their reckless endangerment of teachers and austerity measures on behalf of Wall Street. This is nonsense. Bitter experiences over the last 4 decades have shown that the unions cannot be reformed. The various experiments to do so, from the Teamsters for a Democratic Union and New Directions in the UAW in the 1970s and 80s, to the takeover of the Chicago Teachers Union and the United Teachers Los Angeles more recently, have produced nothing but disaster for workers and cozy positions at the top of the unions for the so-called reformers. So, I mean, basically the DSA is kind of talking change from within, and the SEP seems to be talking more about sort of change from without. That seems to be kind of the core of the split between these kind of socialist groups that differ. I'm going to read a little bit more. As for the Democrats, they long ago abandoned any association with social reforms of the past and have sought to outdo the Republicans in their defense of the financial oligarchy and American imperialism. This has culminated in the selection of Joe Biden, a lifelong shill of corporate America. The DSA, despite its occasional references to, quote, socialism, is hostile to the interests of the working class in the struggle by the Socialist Equality Party for the political independence of the working class and the development of socialist consciousness. Now, it sounds pretty extreme, but giving them, I don't know, I'm being open-minded here. Sure. Instead, the DSA represents the aspirations of a layer of the upper. They are really harsh on the DSA here. The DSA represents the aspirations of a layer of the upper middle class, which promotes the unions and identity politics to disorient workers and young people, while striving to obtain positions in the union apparatus and within the capitalist state, like its pseudo-left counterparts, Syriza in Greece and Podemos in Spain. I don't know about those, but they go on to kind of like to keep bolstering these claims. They cite some articles in Jacobin and some other DSA related publications and stuff, but I don't want to, I mean, like I said, this is sort of a teaser for another episode, but this does obviously talk about the issue of like pushing for teachers just to get back in the classroom. And it's kind of fucked up when it appears that the DSA is even like tacitly supporting that.
It's weird.
If not outright. So, but I mean, they're not, I don't think they're outright saying teachers need to get back in the classrooms, but they're basically saying like, if we pressure the unions, then the unions will pressure the Democratic Party, and then we'll have some sort of like, trickle down, not in economic sense, but, you know, in like a, policy changes sense. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think that's likely, but then at the same time, I would also, and I'm sure they have an answer somewhere, but I would say to the SEP, Socialist Equality Party, like, what's the alternative? And I kind of have a feeling they might give like a very stirring sounding speech about like, you know, an international workers' party overthrowing, etc. But sure. I don't know. Again, I keep veering off into this thing that I'm saying that we're going to do later. So
seems like your brain's stuck on it.
Forgetting about that article for now. I was kind of just also curious about like what teachers in the US are saying, like about their experiences with teaching online and with teaching during COVID, like in the classroom.
Yeah.
And I found an article somewhere and now I seem to have lost it. You said you've talked to people that teach in the US. What have you heard?
My friends in the US who do teach there, some of them really want to go back because they dislike teaching on Zoom. Other
Oh
ones,
shit, those are the ones I told to fuck off earlier.
no, that's fine. I have other friends, like better friends who teach that hate the idea that their school is making them go in because they're seeing like 30 students at a time, and it's really dangerous.
Can I ask like a follow-up question? Like the ones who want to go back, do they teach in major, like, do they teach in urban environments? Like where do they teach?
Most of my friends who teach are teaching in rural areas.
Okay, so their class sizes are probably pretty small.
Yeah.
See that? Okay, so it, like context does matter. I mean, I guess I shouldn't just blanket like, oh, you're all idiots if you want to go back, but like, I don't know. I feel like, okay, yeah, if your classroom has like 6 kids in it and they can really like socially distance and everyone's wearing masks.
Oh no,
but it's probably not
areas,
that.
but it's like 20. It's like 27 to 32 kids probably.
Oh man, that's too much.
Yeah, that's a lot of kids.
And kids are super spreaders.
Because a lot of the rural areas, at least recently, are like most of the like smaller schools closed down or merged with other small schools. So like where counties might have had like 3 or 4 schools at one time, it seems like a lot of counties have this thing where schools have merged and there's just like less schools in every county. At least that's how it is in Tennessee.
Yeah,
that's how it is in other places.
Yeah, I mean, like the poorer the area, like the more kids are going to be packing a classroom, which you see in rural areas and urban. You know, like Chicago, like south side of Chicago or west side of Chicago. Like, there's they like literally like don't have enough desks or chairs, type of shit. You know, it's crazy. Which is why just like people just end up dropping out as well. Well, that's part of the reason, but. But like have you talked to any of them about like their experience when they have been doing remote teaching? Like any kind of like maybe something to break up the horror of all the shit we're talking about, like anything amusing happening? You did tell me something kind of funny earlier today, but it wasn't your friend though, but it was something you heard.
Oh no, this was just stuff I was reading on Reddit and Twitter about how one of the big phenomenons of kids right now, as far as like Zoom classes, they'll set an animated GIF of themselves studying or doing their classwork, so they can just like load that as their virtual background and just go off and do whatever they want to. Because that way it just looks like they're constantly part of class, which I think is excellent.
I just realized that's
the exact same thing as a kid.
That's a straight up fucking that's a Simpsons joke of Homer.
Is it?
Like, yeah,
is it a Simpsons joke?
Homer putting the VHS tape on a loop of him like working.
Oh, right. To get around the CCTV.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I forget what for, but yeah, that was a good one. That's hilarious though. Yeah, I started like wondering about that kind of stuff. I don't know why I hadn't crossed my mind. Maybe because I'm too busy thinking about all the dark shit, but it's like I wonder if any funny stuff is like. I also started thinking about like really weird like kids, like I don't know, people doing weird sex shit. I don't know. I guess you said like at your school when you do remote teaching, like for like insurance reasons or whatever, you record all the calls.
Yeah, we do it. We record all the calls.
We don't do that at my school for some reason, but
surprising. I know that like in the States that's very big, but I've also heard of like districts in the States where they don't allow video. Because they worry about like I guess it's like sexual predator stuff, which actually just kind of sounds silly to me. They worry about teachers like teaching from home on Zoom with this classroom of kids who are all at home on Zoom, and like I guess
Yeah,
the
I don't know,
teacher's
like,
asking them to do like stuff on video that they wouldn't normally ask in like a classroom.
or recording it and selling it to fucking pervs or something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly. Which
I mean,
is like ridiculous to me because like, God, how much is how big is the culture of mistrust in America if that's where we're at?
yeah, I mean, I gotta say, like, when we're talking about America, all of those precautions kind of sadly make sense to me. Not that like not that like people don't get molested and stuff in South Korea, but like I don't know, I just feel like I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's just like that it never even occurred to me that like we should be recording the classes. I think part of it though is like for the listeners, like the kind of place I teach is a little different than other places I've taught in the past, and I guess different from where Jason teaches now, where I also have taught. But it's like some really like the class sizes are limited to 8 students, like the whole. So they have like
Oh wow, that's really small classes.
They get a lot of like attention. I actually like I'm so spoiled by it now. When there's a full 8 kids in a class, I'm like, God damn it, too many fucking kids.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm excited when I have an 8-kid class.
The perfect class is like maybe 6 or so, some of my classes are like 3 students. Yeah.
I always, my perfect classes are just even numbers.
Well, I was gonna say yeah, because then you can do teams or whatever. But
having odd number teams is weird.
It is. Sometimes you gotta do it though.
I mean, I do it.
I gotta say, just my personal take on teaching online. I love it, especially because my school allows me to do it from home. So that's the other thing is like, so, like what's your situation, Jason?
I mean, when we do teach online, I still have to go to the office and like.
For no good fucking reason.
For no reason other than they don't trust us to, I don't know, have a clean apartment or something. Just like ridiculous. I don't know. I'm actually just like projecting that, but that's like in my brain is like, is this the reason? Or just like worried that like,
I think it's just Korean work culture.
I wonder. Yeah, I think there's some of that. I have wondered before, like,
because
maybe it's not me, but like, most of the Korean teachers I work with might still live with their family and stuff. So maybe it like would become harder for like the Korean workers who maybe don't have the space at home.
It's
like maybe they don't have a private space to teach in.
It could be,
but that doesn't make a lot of sense to me because I'm sure they could figure that out.
It could be a practical issue, but I honestly think the first thing is that they're like, no, you have to do you have to make some effort since we're paying you. Like,
yeah,
but like teaching remotely is still effort. No matter,
sometimes I think it's harder in certain ways.
And it is in some ways, but
the classes that literally take the whole time because there's a lot less like setup and like wind down as far as like, oh, this is going to sound bad. I don't get those extra like 2 minutes at the end of class where kids are packing their bags and I have to walk them down to the buses. I have to just do the whole thing. 2 minutes is a long time teaching though.
You like that 2 minutes where you don't have to talk to them anymore.
Exactly. I like those 2 minutes where I don't have to teach.
That was not what I was.
Best part of my day.
Yeah, that's the thing that's changed from academy to academy for me is the do you have to walk the children out down the stairs or not? And I don't at my current place, which is nice, I guess. But that I think the other thing is like my school, like the parents are very much like the definition of the sort of like helicopter moms. That's probably the reason I don't have to walk them down the stairs because they end up just like crowding around your door, like waiting for the kids to come out. And
wow, that's even more so. That's even more helicoptery than ducks.
Oh yeah, I mean, the place I teach is like very, it's kind of boutique in a way.
Bougie.
Well, and it's just it. So like the people who started my school are they're Korean American and born in America. These twins, and they're really cool. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm allowed to teach from home, because they're not pushing that like that guilt, that work culture guilt shit. You know, they know what it is and they disagree with it.
Yeah.
And they also, and they say they're like, they're responding rationally, because like the whole point of working at home is to lessen your contact with other people, right? If you got to get on like a bus and a subway and another bus to get to work and then do it all the way back home, I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's not as bad as sitting in a room with kids all day, but like it's still exposing yourself more for like unnecessarily. I mean, I have to go in once a week, but that's just to get like physical homework like from the building, and then grade, and then they like scan it all back in. Am I in the weeds here? Am I just getting way too detailed about my job? I don't know if this is interesting at all. In any case, I mean, I guess we're giving our firsthand experience, so I like it. One benefit, I guess, to it for me is that at my particular, and this is different from where you work, but like in my classroom, I don't have like a projector or any kind of screen to show the kids stuff. Like it's just, you know, a whiteboard and my computer that they can't see the screen of. But so I can show them all kinds of cool shit on Zoom. Like we'll watch like little videos, or like they'll ask me what something is, and I can explain it, but then I can also just like show them a picture or whatever, or like a lot. I go to Wikipedia a lot and then show them like the entry and then translate it into Korean for like 10 seconds and let them get a handle on it, and then translate it back to English. But anyway, I like that aspect of it. I mean, and then the obvious thing is like I like not having to leave my house. It's the first time ever in my life I've had a job where I could work from home, and it's great. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, it's weird to me that like we're not even, you know, we're not working for the public school system either. Like we do stuff that kids do after school. Like we work at these academies, and I don't see any reason why we can't just stay online until this thing is fixed. Really. I mean, okay, there are some theoretical reasons, right? Some of the parents don't like it, but what they don't like about it is that it's like it somehow inconveniences them to have the kids at home.
Yeah, I mean, part of why you send your kids to after school is it's
but hear me out.
Babysitting.
Well, maybe the reason we've gotten away with it longer at my school is that I think a lot of the moms are
stay at home,
because most of the time the kids, when they log on, their parents are home. Actually, there's this one kid who every time he comes on now, he's zooming from the back of his mom's car as he's driving home, and he's wearing his little like school uniform blazer thing, and he's just like laughing, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of funny. And then like eventually he transitions to the computer in the house, but for like the first 10 minutes of class he's just kind of like yelling at a camera in the back of a car, kind of like those car like guys sitting in their car YouTube videos, except a cute little kid. Anyway, so and I guess the downside for me is like is stuff that it's outweighed by the benefits though. Like downside for me is like sort of like classroom control, I guess, because like I can't really see what the kids are doing a lot of the time. I can't tell if they're really like doing their work. But you know, there's ways around that. It's just the trade-off is just completely worth it to me though. But apparently a lot of teachers do really hate the remote teaching.
Yeah, they just find it like mind numbing. It's harder to do activities. Like my school, they don't give us full access to Zoom, so we can't do breakout rooms, which I think makes group stuff harder. But then there's also the problem with breakout rooms where it's hard to observe breakout rooms and actually make sure the kids are doing their thing.
Yeah.
There's also, you can't do like, it's really hard. Like a lot of ESL teachings about doing group activities and having kids walk around and talking to each other stuff. But like a lot of times when you teach on Zoom, you like end up having to do just sort of like one kid talks at a time. Otherwise, it's just like chaos.
Yeah. The chaos of a lot of kids talking at once will drive.
I mean, in a classroom, it's fine for a lot of kids talking at once because they can walk around, they can talk, you can walk around and manage it. But like when it's all just like being channeled through like the same audio channel, like you kind of have to like retool everything to be almost like just lecture stall, which is a pain. I understand why teachers don't like that. I don't like that at times.
Yeah, I mean, I just I don't know. I don't want to go too into detail. I'll give you some tips off mic.
Okay.
I'll send you a link to. Basically, there's this really, really, really excellent website that just like if you want to just like do these sort of like team games on Zoom,
yes, please.
The kids love them, and
we should put them in the podcast notes for any of our teachers.
I might. It's called bamboozle.com. It's free, baby. You could make your own games. They got like 200,000 games on there. It's crazy.
I've never heard of this. I'm surprised. I mean, I don't play a lot of games, but actually on Zoom, I find myself wanting that type of stuff more than I ever do in a normal classroom.
But also be careful, because I've as you know, I worked at the same school as you, and I was chastised for playing too many games at certain points in my tenure there.
That just means a parent complained about something.
Yeah, they like complained about shit like playing Hangman for 5 minutes. It's like, what the fuck do you want? These kids are in like first grade. All right. Anyway, maybe we should move on to another one of these articles.
Let's move on to another article.
So it's just a couple. It's like interviews with. It's just first person accounts of teaching during these trying times, and yeah, this is from August, like I said earlier. We've got a teacher here from Norman, Oklahoma. Hey, home of the Flaming Lips, Norman, Oklahoma.
Wow. Only you would know that.
And
you're probably not the only
every Flaming Lips fan probably knows that. But anyway.
I'm a fan. But
I mean, real fan, duh.
That's true. I mean, we don't all have Wayne Cohen wish us happy birthday.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So her point of view, she says, I'll just read it. As a teacher, I don't feel like a lot has changed in the last few years. Oklahoma teachers did get a pay increase, which was awesome. My salary is now about $41,000 a year. Isn't that? I don't make that much, but I also like work part-time and anyway, you know what I'm saying. That seems so paltry, even by like the low standards of U.S. like public education. Anyway, it had really felt paycheck to paycheck, and now I'm able to save, and budgeting feels much less stressful. But the state of Oklahoma still has work to do. We still need a lot more funding for education. Class sizes are still large. I still buy a lot of my own supplies. I'm relieved that we started the school year virtually. It's been a whirlwind, and everyone is being asked to do more than they can do in a day, so I'm just trying to be patient and offer solutions when I can come up with them. The first day of school, it's so cheesy, but it can really be magical, and it's just so fun seeing the kids excited to be around their friends and to be back together as a community. It does feel like we're really missing that this year. I'm teaching in an empty classroom, and it's kind of sad. But it was so nice to actually interact with students, even virtually, because the school has felt so empty. One My colleagues and I have been stressed since spring break because we care and we're worried, and we know the ins and outs of our jobs, and we know that what the CDC is recommending for in-person learning just isn't really feasible. Yeah, 6 foot distance. You can't do it. Considering the lack of funding that we've had for a decade, I'm not an online teacher. I've not been trained to do any of this, and I don't want my students to be at a loss because I'm in uncharted territory. I just hope people know that we're trying our absolute best, and it's hard to make a decision that pleases everyone. It just feels like an impossible situation. I feel really... This lady's like so sincere and nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of getting to me.
American teachers, man.
Yeah. There's this, and then there's another teacher here, from Michigan. They're talking about, this is like kind of a big issue as well that we're going to get at, but like not the students not having access to like the technology they need to do classes, Zoom classes and stuff.
Yeah, that's something I've thought about.
I mean, I've thought about it too, and it is very real. But I've just kind of thought, now this is going to sound like hear me out. This is going to sound like a Republican talking point about like welfare queens. But like these days, even poor people have smartphones.
Yeah, that's true.
You can do Zoom on a smartphone.
But maybe mom doesn't want to give up her smartphone.
Yeah, and also maybe like not.
You might need it for work too.
Also might have like access to like quick enough internet and stuff.
Could be data plans too, because like you might be on like a
right. It might be kids who just like go around like grabbing free Wi-Fi or whatever. And in any case, I'm sure it's an issue, and I think that I got a whole article about that.
Yeah, I think I saw something about like tons of kids and parents showing up to like, I don't know, a Burger King or a McDonald's to use their free Wi-Fi because they didn't have it at home.
God damn.
Like, do their
something
classes,
about it being
like
Burger King or McDonald's that makes it 10 times more depressing.
They're like usually safe.
Go to the library.
And they're, well, yeah, that's true.
Go to the fucking library.
Well, maybe the library's
well, yeah, I guess in certain communities, the library's probably been turned into a fucking Burger King.
That too.
Oh God, getting sad again. She just has this point here at the very end, though. I mean, what she has to say is good, but I just want to get right to the end. Starting the school year virtually is the safest option. By no means is it the easiest. It will be incredibly hard for teachers to do their job. I've been thinking about what I can do to have a space of respect, love, and liberty for all of us. That's really hard in a virtual space. But safety and care are supposed to be at the forefront all the time in education. Amen. So, if virtually doing education is the way for us to protect everyone during this time, that is what we should be doing. I want to be safe. People say, teachers aren't working. We're working harder than ever. Yeah, like that, especially that last part. It was like, oh, you just get to sit at home and do your webcam shit. Like, no, like I'm not complaining. Like, my job is relatively pretty easy, honestly. But I still feel like kind of spent after, and I teach the same. I mean, I teach kids for 3 hours straight, like per class, which has its own sort of like kind of like wearing on you effect. But like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Can you imagine teaching like full like 9-hour day of like eight different classes online? I mean, I can't imagine doing it offline either at this point.
Like, even when I've taught at like real Korean schools, not Hagwons, or academies, they had tons of like planning periods. That's one of the big things in like Korea. Like, one of the things that I think make Korean schools better is the fact that you're not just like constantly teaching. They give their teachers like 3 or 4 hours of planning time, 2 hours on some days, but like you always have at least 2 hours of planning time at like a regular school. And American teachers are like, I read online, they're like, get 1 hour of planning time in a week, and the rest of it has to be done at home.
And
That's
it's probably like it's probably like 10 minutes of their lunchtime, like each day, like adds up to that hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Yeah, I mean, never mind. I was gonna go into something about the Korean schools, but it doesn't matter. So I'm trying to find like a differing. Here's another teacher echoing kind of that same thing about people misperceiving what teachers actually do. This guy's basically saying the same thing. Like, I know students learn better in the classroom. I know the benefits of their like socially interacting with their peers. But I just want leaders to do what's best for the children. At the end of the day, I'm one person, and there are millions of children out there who need to be educated. Some people feel like teachers just don't want to go to work, and that's not true. A lot of teachers have underlying health conditions and concerns, and we're fearful for our babies. We see different people hosting meetings virtually, and then they're telling us, just send the kids to school. We want them to be safe. We're going to have to work regardless, whether it's virtually or at school. Teaching virtually was a lot more work than actually teaching in class, but we want what's best for the kids. So, yeah. I mean, I don't feel like I'm doing less work when it comes down to the actual class time. Like, the main thing that teaching online, like the benefit for me is basically twofold. I don't have to commute. Like, I live far away from where I work, so I don't have to commute 2+ hours each day, further exposing myself to COVID. And I don't have to sit in a classroom for 3 hours. That's, not. I do have a window that opens. I guess it's not poorly ventilated in that regard, but just sitting in this tiny room crammed full of kids. Yes, we're all wearing masks. The kids' desks have these big plexiglass things around them, but at the end of the day, I mean, they still come up to me. They're like putting their grubby, dirty kid hands all over the whole place. Like,
sure.
And two kids at my school did have COVID.
Really? 2 kids at your school had COVID?
I told you I had to get tested, remember?
Right, I remember now. Sorry.
So there was one student who had it, and my school, luckily, was like very responsible and was like, okay, cancel the classes for today. Everybody go get tested immediately at this place. Testing process was really simple. We got results within hours. Everyone was fine, the staff and the teachers. And they actually listened to our concerns, which is good. We have actually several times now, there's just been an email that's like, okay, let's take a vote. Who wants to stay online? And everybody's like, yeah. Except recently there was one guy who's like, I kind of want to come back. And we're like, fuck you.
Yeah, we've had that. We've got since you left, they started a giant group chat or just the NTs without the management at JLS, which is kind of weird for me.
Native teachers, NTs.
Yeah, the native teachers.
That's
and there's
us.
some of the native teachers we really want to not do Zoom classes. And then other native teachers why the fuck are we coming in person? So it's kind of an argument, which I was talking about at different points.
Wait, so the
some native teachers want to come back, and some native teachers are like,
I would slap them, man. And then the one guy who said he wanted to come back at my school, I like him, but I feel like he has reasons of wanting to get out of his house or something. I don't know. Maybe that's not it. Maybe he has told me he doesn't like teaching online, but it's again, it's just that thing of use your head, man. Do you want to get fucking COVID? Is it really worth the risk to make your teaching like slightly more easy.
Yeah.
Even though I don't find it that much more easy when I'm crammed into that room with the kids and all their big shielded desks. Like, I hate it. It's like way more stressful. So
Yeah, I think it's way more stressful too.
So maybe we should pan out here, broader view.
Sure.
Also, if you can't tell, Jason and I are doing this podcast over Zoom for the first time ever.
Yeah, we wanted to test it over Zoom today. Usually we're neighbors basically, so we usually just like hop over to Josh's house to do it because he has like a nicer setup for it than me.
Well, I've got the equipment that I'm not going to carry anywhere.
Exactly. And that's what I mean by nicer setup.
Oh, okay.
His house is set up for it, and we're neighbors, so it's like pretty easy. And I know we're talking about coronavirus, and maybe even we shouldn't be meeting, but the numbers are very low in Korea, so it's not like I'm not incredibly worried.
Yeah, I mean,
does that make me a hypocrite? I don't know.
No,
if that makes me a hypocrite or not.
I've thought about it too, and like but the risk is about as low as you can be. I feel like to meet with one other person. I don't know. Maybe I'm also in denial, like the people I've been kind of yelling about. But again, there are degrees. I think like there's a huge difference between let's say I knew some guy from England named Rami who thought it was totally safe to go to dank basement rock concerts and play shows all the time. I think that would be way more dangerous than me meeting one friend twice a week to do podcasts in my kitchen. But that's just me. Anyway.
Oh no, definitely.
So I guess I want to think about like some of the bigger reasons why, and I guess it might be a little obvious, but why even like the teachers unions, why the Democratic Party, why, I mean, the Republican Party, of course, too. I mean, that goes without saying. Nobody wants to shut anything down. Schools. I mean, if we're not going to shut down schools, we're sure as fuck not going to shut down any factories. Like there's that great headline I saw the other day. It was like, Pence, Biden agree, nothing will be shut down. Like there's that wonderful bipartisanship. I guess the answer is simple. Like nobody's willing to create like to use some sort of system of wealth, like welfare to keep people at home to try to curb the disease. And I gotta wonder what the current science is on like how to push back on what's happening in the US and in Europe right now, because like we said before, there was a window when like paying everybody to stay home for 2 weeks would have worked well, but I think even if you did that now, it wouldn't be it wouldn't be enough. It would have to be like 2 months, maybe more. I mean, I'm totally just like ballparking this, obviously. I only play a scientist on TV. But you know what I mean? Like it's so far gone now that like I don't know, like it seems like there's the fork in the road is like go totally nihilistic and just like, okay, there's going to be some fucking casualties here, just run full force into it. Throw all the bodies at the schools and the factories and the fucking fast food joints and shit. It's amazing to me that fast food restaurants are considered essential, by the way.
Yes, nuts. I can't believe they're considered essential either.
That was like the number one thing that was considered essential, like in the beginning of the whole thing.
People need to eat.
Yeah. Well, It's essential for anyway. It's obvious what it is to anyone who's going to listen to our podcast. It's just corporations have a stranglehold on everything, and I mean, I hate just using phrases like this, but it's capitalism, man. It's just that's what it is. It's hard to pull the brakes on this fucking thing. Like, although the most depressing part is that it's not impossible. It could be done if there was the political will. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I know totally what you mean.
But like politics are so bound up in these economic issues that are controlled by, a handful of very, very, very wealthy people that what the fuck do you do, really? I don't know. I certainly don't have the big solution. I mean, you could say like everybody just needs to organize, but like it's really hard to do during a pandemic. You shouldn't physically organize.
Yeah, definitely.
As much as I believe in like all the protests that have been going on throughout the summer and continue to some degree, they are risky and they are causing like they are furthering the spread to some degree. But it's not the same as like people going to see fucking what was that shit ass band? Smash Mouth? Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard that actually caused like a major
outbreak.
Outbreak.
That was at like the Sturgis like rally, like motorcycle rally or something. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I saw like some video of it and I was just like, good God, like 60% of those people are fucking goners. Where was I? Let's see. I mean, I know there's more to talk about, but here's something. This article's this is the InsideHigherEd.com hidden expenses of remote teaching. This is just a brief. I mean, I can summarize it. I don't need to read the whole thing.
Sure.
But I just found it like... Okay, so the subheader is online teaching has often forced faculty to retrofit living spaces into professional offices, and meanwhile the expenses quietly yet steadily increase. My first thought of that about this is, oh, boo fucking who? You have to turn your home office into an office. I mean, what did they... But then I realized that this article is not saying let's everybody go back to in-person teaching. They're just pointing out like these smaller costs of people having to shift to remote teaching.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know why I brought this article up. It's just basically, it kind of just goes on to complain about like stuff that is not the problem isn't the remote teaching. The problem is the education system. So there's talking about like teachers having to buy their own supplies. Well, teachers were doing that at their fucking classrooms too. And then it says like childcare support. I think this is talking specifically about college teachers, by the way, because it says that faculty parents should not be forced to spend $300 from our own pockets for video game devices to occupy our children while we tend to the needs of our students during classes, office hours, or often lengthy faculty meetings. So they're just
not.
So like, what do they want? I mean, where do you want your kids to go and get more disease? Like, I don't know what your solution is here. And then they're also talking about like how the utilities bills are going up. I mean, I guess that could be a real issue for some people for sure. I guess. But I mean, is it also people, I don't know. maybe I'm being. I don't think for these university teachers it's that big of a deal. Like, yeah, you're using your laptop at home a little bit more than you might otherwise. Now, I could see it being a problem for like a student that's like coming from like a lower class back like situation.
Oh, me too.
But yeah, I don't know.
So there's no solution. Everyone should stay home. That's the only solution, actually. It's not going to happen. There's no alternate like solution. So we're fucked.
Yeah.
End of the world.
And then you get like, right now there's just this like slew of articles. I'm just gonna like headline Washington Post. It's past time for schools to reopen, and it's got a picture of. It looks like a little kid holding like a little kid protest sign that says "Keep school open." It's kind of depressing as hell to look at. And then another person's got a little sign that says "Safety protocols work." Do they? Do they? When you have 30 kids in a fucking room? Come on. Weirdly, Nature magazine, like the science journal, but I believe is a reputable science journal, they've got, a couple articles also pushing for school reopenings. Yeah, the New York City Teachers Union pushing for openings. Again, this just goes right in line with the other thing we said about the unions not really having the teacher's best interest in mind. Yeah. Well,
Sorry, I'm thinking about something.
No, go
the
ahead.
union stuff I want to look into more because it just seems crazy. I'm sure that part of it's like I don't know if like school districts have the ability. Are they lowering teachers' pay? There's so many like complications to it. Like the best interest is to keep people from getting corona, but then there's also like interest of livelihood because like America's a state where they're not offering like assistance unless you count the stimulus, which I didn't even get as assistance, but really $1,300 for a fucking year. That's a joke. I mean,
1,200.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, it's just even worse than what you're saying.
So I just wonder how much of it is what's the word I'm looking for? Just how much of it is just like just trying to figure out how to make things livable for people. Like, I mean, people have to work and eat, and maybe that's like that's the driving motivation to try to get people back into school, into the classroom, because they're just like, well, we got to do something.
Yeah, I mean, like that first teacher I quoted, the one from Oklahoma, said like it's an impossible situation. Like people want to do the right thing in a way, but then people like get so desperate they have to like kind of like not intentionally, but they like by necessity like start deluding themselves. I mean, even as you and I were talking about, like maybe we're deluding ourselves when we meet up. Like maybe it's an unnecessary risk, especially considering that we can just do this over Zoom like we're doing right now. But I mean, again, like I said, there's degrees also of that, and like sending your kid to school every day, like in a crowded room, it's totally different than certain other things. I think we're probably hit.
Yeah, we're hitting the time.
I'm just gonna read this one last teacher's thing here, and then we'll we'll call it
Okay.
General Rex, and then get out of here.
Yeah, because I got to go to work soon, sadly.
I got to get ready soon as well. Okay. This guy has a math teacher in Tacoma, Washington. He says, it's going to be really interesting to see how engagement online this year compares to engagement in my regular classroom when it's not a pandemic. And I expect it to decrease significantly. During the spring, he's going to see those kids making GIFs of themselves. During the spring, I had only about 10% of my students engaging each week in remote learning. I don't expect this math teacher, he's got to break it all down mathematically. I don't expect as many students to pass classes this year as do normally, just because it's going to be a lot easier to check out. If a kid is on a computer screen, how do I know they're engaged with what I'm talking about? How do I know they're not on their phone? You don't. He goes on to say, but it's better than being in person and crossing our fingers hoping no one dies. See, that just like sums it all up to me, is that one sentence. So I wanted to read it. Certainly it's not ideal. I would rather be in person with my kids, but I can't be right now. I got into teaching because I wanted to spend time with kids all day. I want to mentor them. I'm in a position to share my knowledge and experience and goofiness with young people and hopefully improve their lives and have fun. I don't know if I'm really going to be doing that this year. Well, see, I think some of these people are overreacting to what remote teaching is like as well. You can still well, maybe not. Maybe it's harder with like public school kids. I don't know. I mean, I think I'm probably pretty lucky with the kind of students I'm teaching right now. So I might be speaking from a point of privilege, something like that. But I guess just end on, it's better than being in person and crossing our fingers hoping no one dies.
That is 100% true. I guess. But maybe we want people to die.
Never let us go out on a feeling of
we want
of confidence.
People to die.
Always
Never.
end the podcast doubting and scrambling and so maybe not. You decide. All right, I'm gonna cut it.
Okay.
Or you want to say something else?
No, I don't.
Okay. General recommendations. I have a general recommendation about a specific thing called 4 New Messages. It is a book of short stories, but they're kind of longish short stories, if that makes sense, because there's only 4 of them. But it's like a regular size book. Anyway, it's by a guy named Joshua Cohen. And
I see. You only like Joshua's.
I knew this was gonna. He's an interesting author. He's like pretty young, but he's written like very, very prolifically. For the really cheap point of reference, he's got a little bit of like David Foster Wallace quality, but also sort of like a James Joyce, like more chaotic quality to his writing. But he's interesting. He's a unique fiction writer in a time when, I don't know, a lot of fiction is kind of homogenous. I was just going to quickly read I wrote a long review of it on Goodreads, which I'll link just for the hell of it. But, here's the kind of overview. A quartet of audacious fictions that capture the pathos and absurdity of life in the age of the internet. A spectacular, forget that part. In the story Emission, a hapless drug dealer in Princeton is humiliated when a cruel co-ed exposes him exposing himself on a blog gone viral. In McDonald's, tells of a frustrated pharmaceutical copywriter whose imaginative flights fail to bring solace because of a certain word he cannot put down on paper. In The College Borough, a father visiting NYU with his daughter remembers a former writing teacher, a New Yorker exiled to the Midwest who refuses to read his students' stories, asking them instead to build a replica of the Flatiron Building. In Scent, it begins mythically in the woods of Russia, but in a few virtuosic passages plunges into the present, where an aspiring journalist finds himself in a village that shelters all the women who starred in all the internet porn he's ever enjoyed. Highbrow and low down, these 4 intensely felt stories explain what happens when the virtual begins to colonize the real. They harness the torrential power and verbal dexterity that have established Cohen as one of America's most brilliant younger writers. And I think for once, one of my recommendations sort of thematically connects to what we've been talking about. The idea of, digital, real, etc. But it's a very good book. And the thing was, I tried to read him before I read this book. He had this really thick, massive, crazy novel called Witz, Witz, which a lot of people it's a love or hate thing. Anyway, I tried to read it, couldn't get too far into it, but I really liked his these short stories. They're really good. What do you got?
Okay, so my recommendation this time is I want to recommend role-playing games.
In general?
Just in general. No, so I've been playing Dungeons & Dragons with friends a lot again, and if you can, I don't know. I guess my recommendation for role-playing games is just sitting around and playing a game of make-believe with friends is some of the best times I've ever had. And in this pandemic world, there's a lot of options for doing so online. It's a bit better than playing like video games because you're just making stories with friends, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's kind of a loose recommendation. Like there's probably like better things that could be recommended, more useful things, but
whatever. We call it general recommendations for a reason.
As usual, I say play games, be escapist, do your thing.
Yeah, I mean, these stories I recommended are I mean, everything's fucking escapist.
Everything's
escapist. It's all right. Degrees again. I was just gonna add, like, yeah, I mean, like comparing what you're saying to like just typical games, like it's at least I feel like it's a less passive form of entertainment if you're actually like creating, like you're like world building. I don't really know how D&D works, honestly. I guess I kind of get the basics of it, but anyway, I think it's a good recommendation. So don't doubt yourself, man.
Okay, good.
I like the idea. I do like the way you phrase it as sitting around with your friends, like making up a story. That sounds cool.
Yeah,
I don't really think of those games in those terms because I'm probably thinking of it in a more like stereotypical way or whatever. But
at some time, I should run a game for Grimurgy.
I'll give it a shot. I don't know about the last word you said, but I'll give it a
All
shot.
All of them. Keeman, Tommy, and Jude, and you. We will play a game together online.
We'll see. All right, cool. Good Zoom chat.
Hey, good Zoom chat. I'll talk to you later.
Oh, one more thing. I don't know. I can cut this, whatever. But next episode is different for us. We're gonna have guests on.
All right. Who are we having on?
We are having on 3 fellows from another podcast called Boomer Death Squad, and I like their podcast. They have said, they've claimed, we'll see how true it is, that they like our podcast. And yeah, we're gonna have an episode with them in like 2 days. So I guess look forward to that.
Nice.
All right.
I'm excited.
See you, folks.
Goodbye, Joshua. Goodbye.
Oh, right. I'm saying goodbye to you too.
Goodbye, world.
It's a breezy, beautiful day. The birds and girls at their weightless ways. The air is cool and there are plenty of things to do. So I pull